Right.
in my time of need. You know what I mean? Not saying that they can't be, but I think we have to be intentional with our conversation,
Right.
or with, the reasons why we're getting together. You know what I mean? If I want to talk about something that I'm struggling with, I may have to preface that and be like, listen, bro, I'm going through some right now. I really need somebody who can kind of listen and offer some advice and help me out with what's going on with that. Depending on how they respond to that, that might tell me that they are the type of people that I can go to them with, or they're not that kind of people. You know what I mean? But I can't just give all of my
Right.
difficulty, my hard times, my inner angst to just anyone. Right. So sometimes we have to kind of, test the waters
Right.
before we can realize that that's the right group for me or the right person for me to, delve into that kind of stuff with. So I definitely think it's about being intentional.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I have trust issues. I do. And I laugh at it because um it's something that I actively work on. I think I had trust issues before things actually even happened that would have caused me to have trust issues. Um, it's simply because, I've just kind of operated in not wanting to rely on other people to get by. You know what I mean? So the way that I have found out, whether or not the people that I have in my life are trustworthy or are in fact those safe space for me has been, like you said, trial and error. But mostly it's been through my observation of how they've handled other relationships.
Gotcha.
I there are people that I genuinely love and I have in my life that can't hold water. And
on that.
That's true.
and
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
just been like, all right. So while I do love you and you do contribute something to my life, I know that I cannot share important things with you. Um, and then I have those people who, like you kind of mentioned, aren't like I not that actually I'm probably this person for a lot of people where they're not calling for the going out. They're not definitely not calling for the drinking because I don't. But you know, they're calling for the more important things. So I do have that friend circle where it's like, all right, I need to get a prayer through, or I need to, vent about something that's fairly important, something that's significant. I know who I can go to with that. Um, but I learned that because I saw how they handled other situations. I saw that they were able to, keep keep the peace. That's one thing that's important to me because you have those people that are drama filled who would like to see something happen based on certain situations. Like, oh, maybe you should show up at some place or whatever. I've had those friends too, and I've learned my lesson with that because I have showed up places and did things. But we but we learned from that. But yeah, so I've observed, and I have to say too, I've had the friends that I've had for a very long time. So this is like a very consistent level of trial and error that we've experienced, and I've kind of like even now because as people grow and they change and their lives change, we I've had to weed through some more situations where like, oh, I didn't like how you handled that. Got to pull back a little bit on certain things, or like even including my daughter into the equation now. There are some people who can't handle the fact that I'm a mom, and I have to deal with that in a different way. So, you know, I don't know. We haven't really chimed in with our guy over here, AJ, Andrew.
A lot of work.
He is doing a lot of work. But what say you about these safe spaces and friendships and being able, yeah.
So I mean, for me, all right. So like growing up, I'll be honest, I didn't feel like I had a safe space. So what I learned from my mom was if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. I also learned I'm hard headed. However, I'm very big on I won't do what you did. Like Like I won't get caught how you get caught, how you got caught type of thing. So like I would kind of take into account certain things. All right, you did this, this had that outcome. Like, all right, don't do that. Or if you're gonna do that, don't let anybody find out. Like, so like for me, like it wasn't really tell people your problems kind of thing. It was, all right, let's work these out. Like how do I process this information? Like what do I do? How do I use this later on? Like I wouldn't use it, but because I went through so many things, um, it helped me to be more compassionate towards others. Because then when I seen other people going through it, I'd be like, oh, okay, I know what that is. I know how that feels like. And I don't want anybody to feel how I feel. So because I don't want anybody to feel how I feel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the way out. And this is how you get out of it. This is what you do, this, that, and the other. Just so you can get to a better place in yourself. Because I know like there's some dark places I've been. And I'm like, all right, how do you like, not as dark as other people's like traumas and stuff like that, but it's like, all right, what do you do? Where do you go from here? How do you combat this? How do you not think about it? How do you keep pushing forward? And then when I got older, I got more of a support system, I'll say. Not that my mom didn't want to hear me, but I just like, I was looking at it from a place of, I feel like if I say something about it, I'm gonna be in trouble. Because I always looked at it from, all right, I'm not 100% clean here. like, all right, I did do some stuff too.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's important because there's so many other people that are going through the same things and similar things that you're going through that knowing who you can trust to have a conversation with would be the difference between somebody being severely depressed or find the strength to move on because they're like, oh, well, so-and-so's going through it with me. Like, I'm not alone here.
Yeah.
I think that that last thing you said is really important about not feeling alone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because sometimes the safety that you find in conversations comes with the relatability in the topic. So, you know, I hate to keep niching down your safe spaces, but it's really like that for me, at least. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, going through in the past, going through relationship woes or whatever, it was easier to speak with people that also either were actively going through them or could relate to them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I couldn't see myself. It's weird because I couldn't see myself talking to my friends that had like the best relationship. Because I was just like, oh, you may not be able to relate to these struggles.
Right.
You may
Assuming that.
Like of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
100%. I mean, like I can't say they could or could not.
Yeah.
But just from my vantage point, I was like, yo, you have absolutely no idea. Because things are like, yo, trust me, like I don't want your wife, but I'm cool with your life. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
like you, you know what I mean? Like your goals without me, like really, I'm just like, I'm really happy for y'all.
Right.
And I'm trying to get that for me.
Right.
So I don't think I have anything to offer. I don't think you have anything to offer. Like you'd be like, well, nah, bro, that doesn't happen here. Like I have this type of person, and maybe that's your only problem. You don't have, like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
And I've experienced that on the other side because I was blessed to be in a happy marriage. You know what I'm saying? So people only saw, you know what I mean, what we allowed them to see. But it was really good. You know what I'm saying? Not saying we didn't argue and have our tribulations or
everyone
whatever.
has their days.
Everyone does. But you know, for the most part, it was mostly healthy and built and surrounded by love. So, you know, when some of the bros were struggling with you know what I mean, whether it was infidelity on his side or her side or any kind of stress or drama that was going on, I wasn't the person that they typically went to because they were like, yo, your house is happy. You don't have to deal with this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Even though I could relate because we might have gone through some of the similar things, but because they didn't know the ins and outs of it, I wasn't their first resource when it came to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just, as you were saying that, like that brought me back to like when I first became a mom, and just so happened to end up being a single mother. I didn't want to like talk about my experiences because I was basically like embarrassed. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
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 I was at a point like, hold up, I'm supposed to love this. I love the child.
Right.
Right. But this experience that I'm having right now, I was having a hard time enjoying it. Like it was a lot of work, and there was a lot of technical aspects that no one was telling me about, no one, put me onto. I'm like, I'm worried about all these things, and I'm like, I really just want to lay here with this child and love on them, but I have A through Z to take care of, and it was stressful. And it was hard for me to like go to anybody, because it's like, oh, you have this beautiful healthy child, you should be so happy, and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, I'm happy, but like I'm also exhausted.
Right.
I also I'm dealing with postpartum. I'm also like, all these things were also happening. Wow. And I didn't really, I'm like, all right, I don't know who to talk to about this, because everybody else is making it look very easy. Mm-hmm. So, no, like, and just in that mom world, there's a lot of things that I feel like people don't express until someone else expresses it. You know what I mean? Like, so, but yeah, that just made me think of that. I'm like, I don't know.
But that's why I think it's important for us to like share those type of experiences.
Yeah.
Like, or like, I think it's social cues. Like for me, like if I see somebody and I feel like, all right, you look like you're having a rough day. Like it's going back to what Dr. T, right? Mm-hmm. Going back to what Dr. T said, like asking that second time, are you good? So like, how are you for real? Kind of thing.
Right.
So like that's something I do, because I understand that like our social cue is, all right, just say okay.
Right.
You don't have to think about it. It's an automatic response. Say okay. They don't really care. Mm-hmm. So I take that breath to be like, all right, but how are you for real?
Right.
And then like when they take a pause, I'm like, listen, you don't have to tell me anything. Like you're not obligated to tell me. You're not obligated to share with me. But I do want you to know, if you want to talk, I'm willing to talk with you. I'm willing to listen. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to understand and give advice where I can. Because I think like a lot of times we're in that place where we're ashamed. We're in a vulnerable space. We don't know who we can talk to, because a lot of times, like the things you go through, you don't have it in your mind, oh, so-and-so went through that. Let me go talk to so-and-so.
Right.
Like you're going through it and you're like, yo, this is crazy. Like how do people survive this? How do people get to the next level? How do they step up? And I think it's important just to like kind of like, especially if it's one of your loved ones, like, hey, you straight? Like, let me make sure you're good. Like, and that's what I try to do. I try to create those safe spaces now, because I remember wanting a safe space.
Right.
I remember wanting like, all right, I wish somebody would tell me to do this. Oh, it's cool. Like just little stuff like, yo, some days are going to be harder than others. That is encouraging.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's real. Like, all right, some days are bad. Like you're going to have your bad days, and that's okay. Like it's okay to have a bad day. However, don't live there.
Right.
And that's like that's where I want to get to, like where we can just be like, all right, listen, I'm going through it, but I feel comfortable speaking to. Mm-hmm. I feel safe going to, because everybody hears the bad stories. Nobody really shares the good ones.
Right.
What do you think you need to see in another individual that makes you feel safe, that they would be a good space for you to land?
So for me, it's all about trust.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If I trust you, I'm willing to share things that I wouldn't normally share with. Mm-hmm. Like there's obviously going to be certain things that I keep to myself until I get to that level of trust where I'm like, all right, I can give you like, my wife is one of the only people that I think I've told like all my secrets to. Mm-hmm. Like, and it was just because I wanted to open our communication. I wanted to, for her to understand me as a person, understand where I came from, understand what I went through, understand why I think the way I think. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was important, because another thing is I don't like surprises. I despise surprises. Like, I don't like to be surprised. I like to be prepared. Mm-hmm. So I told her, because I'm like, I don't want somebody to tell you like I did X, Y, and Z, and now you're caught off guard, and now you have to have a real life experience in front of them. Mm-hmm. Like, because that's not fair to you. Right. Like, especially being that you're my wife, like somebody tell you about me. If anybody should tell you about me, it should be me.
Right.
So for me, I try to look for people that I trust, people that I feel I can confide in, and then it's an honor system. So you graduate to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not like I can tell you my deepest, darkest secrets on the first day. It's
Yeah.
Right.
I tell you something
Exactly.
small real
Yeah.
quick.
Yes.
Make
Yeah.
sure if it comes back around, all right, cool. I didn't really care about that secret anyway. Like it's like
Yeah, that's true.
it's like playing spades. Like when you
Yeah.
try to figure out who's gonna cut early, like you throw a
Right,
low spade just to
right.
test it.
Yeah.
Like all right, like, all right, okay, I got you.
I find myself doing that in my work environment. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I just throw something out there and be like, okay, so and so,
Yep.
so.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
see if this one comes back or how it lands. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
I'm like, oh, you hear somebody just got promoted? Oh my god, I can't believe.
Yep.
Oh,
Nope, not you.
Oh,
Right.
you're awfully sorry about that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to touch on something that you said.
Mhm.
So you had mentioned that your wife was the person that probably knows all of your secrets.
Correct.
Did you get was that just something that came after marriage, or were you able
It was.
to? Okay.
So because for me, like it's something that it's a process.
Hmm.
So I was still processing my thoughts. Some things that come to light because remember I talked about it one of the first episodes I got when I had the guy that he's sold me out for his friend or for his
Yeah.
cousin
Yeah.
for the girl. So so the guy that sold me out for his cousin. So basically that feeling still bothers me.
Yeah.
Like to a degree, like not as much because I'm married, like it doesn't matter. However, like just the fact of like I tried to avoid this.
Mhm.
I did everything that I could do to be in front of it. And the fact that like I was still behind the ball, like all right, so every shot you throw up's not gonna go in.
Right.
So with my wife, I was trying to be more open. So like one of the first things I did when me and my wife got together is I told her my cell phone password because I wanted her to feel comfortable. So she doesn't even remember it now. She keeps telling me, I don't remember your cell phone password.
That's man.
That's what.
That's big. To me. I
It
feel like
is.
that's a big. That's huge.
It is.
Man.
Like it wasn't like when we first started dating. I was like, yeah, here's my password.
Let's preface that.
Right.
Wasn't the first week.
Right. It wasn't like we just started like, hey, just in case you want to go into my phone.
Yeah.
So, because one of the things she used to do is she used to hack my Facebook. Like, you never seen, not like hack my Facebook, like go through everything and search. But you know how like people hack your Facebook and then they write a status? Like,
Oh, okay. Like kind of just grab your
yeah, your phone was left open,
Yeah.
you write a status.
Oh, okay.
Like that.
Never
Not
been.
like he said not
I
me.
mean, okay.
No, I've done the password share though. Like,
I got you.
Like, I think password share is great, especially when you are like established.
I got you. So yeah.
Premature.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah. You can't give because
No?
listen,
Okay.
not everybody wants what's best for you, and some people are salty if they get broken up with. So like, if you give them your password, and they feel some type of way.
Yeah.
You might have one of those accounts that they decide to block, or all your business out there now.
Oh man.
Like, cause listen, but yeah. So we were dating, and then while we were dating, I just wanted her to be open. I wanted her to feel like, all right, I only am thinking about you. I'm only talking to you. Like, because I understand that she also had trust issues. She was also going through a tough time it was a breakup that she had. I think it was a couple, maybe like a year that she was kind of getting over at the time. And like, because my biggest thing about it is like, I can't see that you have a trust issue and then expect you to trust me, because that's illogical. You have a trust issue. You don't trust anybody. Like, and I'm not gonna lie, I want to jump the line. Like I'm me.
Right.
My wife will tell you, listen, that is my excuse for everything. I'm me. They're not me. But the truth of the matter is like, all right, there's going to be a level of distrust because you don't want to put all your cards out on the table. You don't want them to see everything because you don't know if they're going to manipulate it. You don't know
Right.
how they're going to use it against you if they decide to.
Right.
If they're going to get mad, because that's another thing that I talked to my wife about it. I never call people out their name.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big proponent of, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm also not going to yell at you and talk about you when I get mad at you, because that's not who I am. I don't have it in my heart to do it. I don't be thinking about it. I can't do it if I wanted to. Like, but she had to learn that's who I was.
Right.
Like, because everybody says they don't do it, but then you get mad.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all these things, you're like, oh, I didn't know I was all that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had to give her the opportunity to trust me. So one of those things that I'm like, if you need, I'll give you my phone password. So whenever you want, you can look up the phone. If the phone rings, you can answer it. Like, I don't want you to feel like I'm hiding something from you. Until she got to the place where she could trust me. Now, we just had a conversation today because one of the people at the job, he ended up no calling, no showing 2 days in a row, but we can't get a hold of him. So I called his mom to see like if he was all right.
Right.
So because I'm like, just because you don't work anymore doesn't mean I don't care about your well-being.
Right.
So I was asking my wife, I was like, how long would it take before you notice I was gone? She was like, I'll give you till 2:00 in the morning. Like, everything else is pretty normal. She was like, if you come home, she was like, if I wake up the next day and you're not here still, then I'm calling your mom. And then I'm gonna call your grandmother, and then I'm gonna call all your cousins, and then after that I'm gonna call the police because because that's not normal for me. For me to stay out at the middle of the night, I used to stay out, do game nights till like 3 a.m. That's normal for her. She understands that's who I am. I pick up the phone when she calls, or I'll call her back in a couple minutes. Hey, I missed your call.
Yeah.
So like for her, she understands who I am, and now she has a level of trust because she's over the years. It's been 10 years now. So so like there's a level of trust where like, all right, cool. He's gonna contact me back. If he doesn't contact me, something went wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
But like, yeah, you get there. It's just a continual process that you have to keep going towards. But it's also, I also have to show that I respect the amount of trust that you give me. Because it's not enough to trust someone if they don't respect your trust.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I think like it's cool that we're identifying safety and safe spaces and vulnerability, but what about the opposite? And I'm gonna say the opposite is from like, what about when people come from it being compromised? Like when you felt a space was safe, or you felt a space was a space where you could be vulnerable, but now you have to like try to insert new trust in a new space. Like, is there any tips or tools you can give someone to having to like start? I mean, you're not starting from zero at that point, because we're talking about all of the like, oh, I can see how you treat other people, or I can see this, and you're trying to come from an optimistic space,
Right.
Yeah.
but now we're talking more about, in my opinion, like I'm asking, how would you guys go when you're coming from a space where you're just like, oh, okay, like I'm hurt, or I gave someone vulnerability, or I thought I could afford someone else safety.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do it now? Like when you're not starting at zero, but you're starting at negative.
I think it depends on the way in which you might have been hurt,
Yeah.
or how they broke your level of trust. I think that's a big component in it. And if you're willing, depending on how you've been hurt, how it affected you, are you even willing to try and repair the damage that's been done?
And I don't even necessarily mean with that person. Sorry to cut
Just
you
in
off.
general.
But just like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes people can scar you,
Sure.
and you're left with the scar. So that makes it hard to even heal going forward.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you could be cheated on, for
Mhm.
example. And it's like, yeah, I'm not trying to fix it with you, but that makes me have this trust issue going forward.
Right.
That's what I mean, more or less.
Yeah.
I mean, you may have to take it a little bit more slowly. I mean, for me, it's really individual. I'm not gonna, have a bad breakup experience and then not want to give my trust to anyone else. But I may be slow in how I give my trust to someone else. That doesn't mean that I'm turned off from giving it to someone because somebody else abused my trust. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody's unique. So I would give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but I don't think I would give them enough rope early on, or they'd have to earn, how much rope I gave them when it came to my trust. But I don't think I would be put off by giving my trust to someone else.
Gotcha.
For me, what ended up happening was, while I probably became more closed off, and didn't offer freely, my thoughts, my opinions, most of anything, I became the person that I felt like I needed. So, in that,
Mm.
I really have been sure to create a safe space from the people that I'm involved with. Um, because again, I can't expect you to provide that for me if I can't like show you. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? Like, so um after having dealt with like, oh, say betrayal, um I'm just like, I'm hurt and like whatever, and I don't trust anybody, blah blah blah. But also I'm just like, all right, how does that look for me? Like, how would I want my person to treat me? How would I want my person to deal with me? And I've actively tried to become that person, um, not just through my words, but through my actions and behavior. Like, I want you to feel like I trust this person. I know I can go to her. I know that no matter what I say, it's not going to be judged. No matter what not no matter what you do, but like, the things that I say and do aren't going to be judged necessarily. And even if it's something that is heavy, there's still the opportunity to have that conversation. There's still space for a conversation to be had, and then an ability to kind of go from there. So I've tried to create the space that I feel like I need, and I'm trying to mirror that for whomever gets involved with me.
Gotcha. I think for me, like I'm naturally stubborn and I'm naturally cynical. So with those being like, some of the anchored traits of my character, it makes it really tough.
Mhm.
Like because I'd love to keep it to an individual,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of fool me once, shame on you,
Mhm.
fool me twice, shame on me
Right.
that I apply to people in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So depending on where I'm at, it can really shut me down.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, and unfortunately, that thought process makes it very risky with, say, coworkers. Makes it very risky with, say, friends. It
Mhm.
makes it very risky with things that are in abundance.
Mhm.
Like I don't have a bunch of moms. I don't have a bunch of dads. I don't have a bunch of significant others. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have my lady. Like if we have an issue, like that's going to be an issue between her and I have to deal with that and tackle that and decide if we're going to go forward or not.
Mhm.
But if you have that issue with a friend, it's like I look at all my friends kind of like, dang, I trusted him just as much as I trust you.
Mm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it can make me very paranoid. It can make
Mhm.
me very closed off. It can make me very nervous.
Right.
And, like, it's not fair to everybody,
Sure.
but it's just my overthought.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it that way too. So like I'm a completely different person when you first meet me. So like you guys kind of got like the cheat code because I came in with my cousin.
Right.
So but like if I go into a room where like if say me and him went to a party and it's just me, like it's me and him, but it's a group of people, and he walks off, like I don't act the way I'm not as outspoken.
Sure.
So and it's something that I've learned. It's probably from trauma. But what I do is I watch everybody. I go to a corner and I
Mhm.
watch.
Yeah.
I people watch. Like
Trauma doesn't have to be trauma.
I don't
'Cause
know
I feel
if it's
like
trauma,
we've
but, like,
discussed the
it's
fact
just
that we're all
self-preservation.
introverts. So
Right.
like, I feel like that self-preservation, yeah. But like
It's a very
just being
Springfield thing,
able
too.
to
it is.
Mm.
It's a very
Is it?
Springfield thing. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
walk in
you
and
go
put
to a
your back
party.
to the wall. And,
Exactly.
Okay.
it's a very Springfield
That's
thing.
exactly what I do. So like I walk into the party and I go to a corner, I sit and I watch. I watch how people interact.
Yep.
I watch how you interact. I
Mhm.
watch who comes in the door, how you look at them. Like I'm watching all that because I got to take into account until I feel comfortable enough
Right.
to be myself.
Right.
Like, because at this point, I'm like, I don't know if I'm safe.
Mhm.
I
So
mean, but that's speaking of physical safety
Right.
and emotional
Yeah.
safety in a
Right.
setting like that. I mean, I hate to go into it, but look at what just happened. You know what I mean with the kids, with
Over
the
the
prom,
weekend,
with the
yeah.
prom
Right.
after party.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like we have lives and we can skip right past it. No disrespect, you know, and prayers for everyone, but we've had lives littered with these type of experiences.
Right.
Like, you know, unfortunately, that's nothing new.
Mm,
And you know what I mean? Like, you've been dealing with it since you were the kids at the party.
yeah.
Like, you know, fatalities and, you know what I mean? And like, you know, very dangerous situations that you shouldn't be in as a child until you were
Right.
a young adult and
Yeah.
all these things. And it's like, you know, you start looking for safety physically, then before you know it, you're realizing that like you create the same caution for yourself emotionally,
Mhm.
Right.
where you're just like always guarded.
Mhm.
But
Like,
I think
you know, people that I'm sorry,
Oh, no,
to
no,
cut you
go,
off,
go.
but I spent some time in college in the South, and like people that come from different places don't behave that way.
it is completely
Completely
different.
different. Yeah.
It is
I've experienced that as well.
Southern hospitality
You
is
It's something
real.
different. Yeah. And then when you
Right.
come back up north,
Oh, it's
people are like, "Yo, what's wrong with this dude?" I'm like, bro, I've had some different experiences, man.
Listen, so, like,
it's changed me in a way, but you come back to that same environment, it's like, oh yeah, that's why I'm like that.
Yeah.
So my friend is from up here and he moved down to Texas and he was talking about it. He was like, yo, like they greet people.
You don't
Yeah.
have to live this way.
Like, they legit greet people. Like they ask you how you're doing and they mean it. Like,
And they
like,
mean it is serious.
right. Like, so like, because for us, like a head nod is good. Like we good money if you get a head nod. Quick head nod when we walking past.
Depends.
True.
Right.
Certain head nods is different.
Might not be the move. Like, why are you staring at me?
What's good? What are you saying right now? But
Oh,
nah,
no,
like the little subtle cues that we're used to, like, and like, cause I'm from Springfield. My dad also lives in New York, so like I see it.
Oh wow,
Yeah, so like
That's
and
double.
completely different.
yeah,
So like, there's a whole nother level to it. Like,
it's tougher and tougher.
right. So like when I go to that, like when I would go down south, like to see that, like it's completely different. Like I don't really know how to position yourself because I'm an extrovert when I want to be.
Right.
Like so like
But you've also put yourself in a mental space where people have to earn that.
exactly
Like this is their baseline.
right.
Like small talk, off rip. Like you know
Right.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Like genuine small talk,
Right.
off rip. Like they really are wondering why you didn't know it was gonna rain today.
Like,
Like, are you okay? Like, why didn't you grab a jacket?
Yo, bro, are you touching me?
You know, like, they're concerned about strangers,
Right.
and you're like, mind your business.
But no, and it's real. Like how we think up north is completely different from how they think down south. And like I think it's apparent to know. Like, and I mean, matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, that's actually very interesting. Being like the history of what down south is
Mhm.
compared to the history up north. Like history up north isn't at like, yeah, we got gangs, but they also got gangs down south. Like they have not all the same things, but like I don't understand why we're so closed off. Now that I'm thinking about it.
That's a good question. I'll have to analyze that another
Yeah,
episode because that's no, because
no, I mean,
like,
it just sounds
could
like it sounds like something that requires like a deep
Yeah,
dive.
right,
like,
right.
like that's not like your typical tangent when you're like closing out. Like we're not done, but we're close.
Right.
So that tangent would like kind of shift everything completely. But I mean, like it's strange. Like you know what I mean? Just knowing like this topic alone, because I mean YouTube is universal.
Sure.
We could sound completely off base
Mhm.
if you just like plop this in the algorithm of a person from Georgia.
Right,
Ooh.
right,
Good
yeah.
point.
Like I'm like, how do you view? Like you know what I mean? Like if you're not from here,
Mm-hmm.
like you know what I mean? Like we'd love to hear you hit us at the email or something and just say how you view vulnerability and safety,
Yeah.
because it's really interesting now. Like it's like a whole case study about like where you come from,
Right.
and not I hate to say it, but in a geographical way, not just your personal trauma. And
Right.
things of that
yeah.
nature that you would automatically think of.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like say like you take two people with a cookie cutter what we would think, like, to leave it to Beaver Life or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, like, but this guy was in a cul-de-sac in Springfield. And this guy was in a cul-de-sac in Georgia.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, like, what did he feel as safety?
Yeah.
Like, it's weird.
Yeah.
Because AJ came, not to dig into this, but he came from a good area.
Mm-hmm.
You came from a good area as well. The 16 acres area, that's area in our city that's like really good.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
Oh,
y'all would still enter the party like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
Like, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, that's protocol here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you come in, you put your back to the wall, you put your eyes to the door.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta see how I'm gonna get out. I gotta see what everybody's up to.
Exactly.
Yep.
Like, and I gotta get really distracted to let myself have fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm like thinking, I'm like, that's so wild, but yeah.
I mean, but that's just starting off. Like after I've met you a couple times, like I can kind of relax. You know what it is? I think I feel safer the more people I know.
Mm.
The more people I know personally, I'm like, all right, if anything were to pop off, I got so and so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
So if you flip that from physical to emotional, do you feel safer when you know more information about the person you're being safe with?
Yes. I think so.
Because you said that you like to be that for people,
Right.
and you emotionally led by example with your wife.
So yeah, so what I typically go first.
Mm.
I typically go first because I want them to feel comfortable to open up to me.
Mm.
And then when they open up to me, well, so I open up and then I want them to feel comfortable when they open up to me and reciprocate.
Yeah.
And then now we can create dialogue. But then I still leave the door open because I don't want you to feel like, all right, I told you a little bit about me. Now you tell me all about you, and then I never say anything again, kind of thing. So like I want the door to be open. So like the people that I'm closest to, I've been more vulnerable with, and we share stories. So correct. I think the more I know about you and your situation, the more apt I am to say, I'm going through some stuff too.
Yeah.
How about you guys? Do you find yourselves being like you'll lead the charge on the vulnerability? I probably don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I would.
Yeah.
I think I'd be on the opposite end of that extreme.
Mhm.
I'd have to have somebody open up and find me to be a safe space
Yes.
for them,
100.
and
Yep.
then maybe I can reciprocate that. But I also look at patterns of behavior as well. You know what I mean? I think that people are more alike in a lot of ways than people want to admit. So if I've been burned by someone and that person I can think back was moving a certain way, even if I meet a new individual and I find that they're moving in similar ways that the person that burned me would move, I find that I would kind of resist that just by not knowing them well or having any major interactions, but just because of the familiarity of how they were moving.
Yes.
Yeah, how you
exactly
were
what I was
maneuvering. I'm
thinking.
like, nah, he maneuvers so much like this dude who burnt me in the past. Like that, there's got to be some common traits in there. You know what I mean?
Guilty
So-
until proven innocent. At that
Absolutely,
point.
That's- yeah,
absolutely,
that's how it is.
absolutely. So I definitely look at patterns of behavior quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, similar to what he just said. Like, I'm a make sure that you feel like you can tell me anything, and I don't know why I'm like that. Again, you're probably gonna divulge a lot more to me than I am to you. That's okay. And until I feel like what I've seen so far or whatever matches up to the level of care and understanding that I need, you're not gonna get much from me. You might, get a little something, but nah.
And I get it. I mean, and to not go too personal.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, like this time last week,
Mhm.
you weren't having like the best day.
Right.
And like, I seen like from the outside looking in, I seen a time when Terrell said, "Hey, if you need to talk, I'm here."
Yeah.
And I know I did the same.
Yeah.
Individual, you know what I mean? It's
All of you actually.
and that's great.
Mhm.
That there's a family environment here,
Mhm.
and no one forced anything out of you, but everyone was like perfectly fine with just letting you know, like, hey, just so you know,
Mhm.
like your peoples are here.
Right.
Like, not just for these mics, but you know what I mean? Like, your peoples are here. And that's like, and I think like that goes a long way because I probably have to hear that 5 times.
Mm.
If
No.
not 10, if
I-
not 20. Before I actually,
He said it's gotta be more than one.
I'm just saying before I'm gonna actually be like, oh, actually, like this person genuinely is steady
Right.
with that feeling for me.
Right.
Like they're really concerned to make sure I'm okay. And I get nervous about things like that because I never want to seem dismissive to someone. Like it's like at the end of the day, like I share space with you guys. Like I make a commitment. Like it's like I have a very busy life, and I make a commitment to be here and be steady and like you know what I mean, to be consistent.
Right.
So with that being said, it's like yo, like I'm not here by accident. So it's like if I don't care about what you guys are going through, like I feel like I told you before, like when you was like, oh, I didn't know if you was gonna flake on the birthday. I'm like, yeah, if I'm a flake, I'm a flake. I got that. Like I don't gotta lie to nobody. I'm grown.
Yeah.
Like I'll be like, yeah, I ain't gonna be able to do
but
it.
from my experiences, that's why I had to pose the question the way I did. Because I'm like, niggas be doing
niggas be niggas.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had very low expectations, and I was like, okay, this is what. So
yeah, for sure.
I was just like,
But I mean, like I think over time we are all learning each other,
right?
Yeah.
Like you know, which is great, even for us to even make it through this without our leader that is our connecting thread.
Right.
Like you know what I mean? It just shows that we are developing our familiarity with one another and to get through it. You know what I mean? I think we did all right. I hope y'all think we did all right.
Yeah, for sure.
We did great.
I had a good time.
Absolutely. It was excellent. Tune in next week because he still won't be here.
I think someone's getting a little too excited. You might want to take that flight back.
No, sorry. But just to quickly touch on the fact what you just brought up last week, I was completely out of it. And it doesn't go unnoticed the fact that you guys I don't think I come in here super bubbly. I'm not necessarily a bubbly person, but for you guys to actually notice the difference in my demeanor, I'm like, okay, so they care.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So that was a big deal for me. Because I'm not necessarily used to that. So that was wonderful. And even just in the banter and the conversations that we had afterwards, I'm like, it lifted my spirits and I needed that. So I do appreciate you guys for just being who you are.
Oh, tears, hugs, handshakes.
Okay.
Whatever appropriate response.
Yes. So thank you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Anyone closing solid thoughts about like vulnerability? What you want the world to know? When you're not being vulnerable but talking about vulnerability. Ironically enough.
I think it's easier for me to be a sounding board for others to be vulnerable with me because I just know myself and I know I'm a solid person. Like I may not know what everybody else's mask is or what they're putting out there, but I know me, you know what I'm saying? And I know that I'm a solid person. I know what my goals are, what my mindset is and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's easier for me to be a sounding board for others than for me to put that out onto somebody else, what my energy is. But I just think it's easier for me in that way because
oh man, I have a follow-up question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yo, so being a person that you consider yourself solid, I'm not saying you weren't when I said that, but you considering yourself solid and knowing that like that's not necessarily standard for a lot of people. Does it make it harder for you to open up?
At times, like I said, I my circle is small, you know what I'm saying? So I really only surround myself with people on a consistent basis if I feel like our energy aligns and it matches. You know what I mean? So if I'm spending time, I'm building a relationship with you, you know what I'm saying? I feel like we're kind of on the same page. You know what I'm saying? At least we're on the same chapter in the book, if not the same page. You know what I'm saying? Cool. So we can build and work towards, you know what I'm saying, either getting closer or getting more distant. You know what I'm saying? And that will only come with time. You know what I'm saying? I'm not in it to rush anything. Like I said, I'm very kind of introverted. I watch people's patterns of behaviors. I watch how you are when you're with me. I kind of look at a distance to see how you are with other people because I kind of judge on that a little bit. Not that I'm a judgmental person, but if you're showing me something, I want to gain all the information I can to make a solid decision for myself. You know what I mean? On certain outcomes. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Got you. Are you gonna read that comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to read the comment that Amber had left. She said, vulnerability is a process for sure. Some things are easier to be vulnerable than others.
Yeah,
Amen.
that's a fact.
True.
Absolutely. Yes.
I mean, yeah, it's super subjective because I mean, like, I can tell everybody about what I'm annoyed about at work.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're
Because
close to it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
outside of the HIPAA violation, like I'm pretty cool. These niggas is completely under my skin.
Right,
As
right.
opposed to like, you know, things that may be more personal. Like, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like the things that you love the most are gonna be the most guarded.
Yeah.
And those are the things that are able to make you laugh are the things that can make you cry. Therefore, like, you know what I mean? Like when you're talking about someone in a romantic space, someone in a friend space, like it's like, yo, I'm sorry, but like I have no faith in my enemy to not hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like it's hard when your friend hurts your feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's hard. Like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't choose everyone to love. So if the
Yeah.
person I picked out of this
Right.
big world
Yes.
decides that they're gonna do something that's not great
Yeah.
with that privilege,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, because I'd like to think I'm great enough to call it that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
then I'm gonna be like, dang, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and then you have to question yourself and be like, wow, am I stupid?
Yeah. I mean, you do, yeah.
Sometimes I don't think it's about questioning yourself. It's about not understanding their experience, right? Just because you and I are solid today doesn't mean that you're going to have some life experience that is going to make you question any and everything. You know what I'm saying? So I can't put your life experience on me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you choose to do something shady to me 5 years from now because of an experience that you had that made it seem like, well, he knew those dudes and these dudes did me dirty, so I don't know if I can trust this dude. So you gotta let me go on
I
some
think that's
level.
a topic too.
That's not on me. You know what I'm saying? I don't hold onus to that. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
Bro,
what do you do when
gotta
experiences alter
make
your character?
you gotta make your own decisions for your life. Right. And like I said, I feel like I'm solid. So if you feel like your life is going to be better without me, God bless you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't really ask too many people for too much. I'm usually here to give, whether it's advice, whether it's time, whether it's encouragement. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I pour out way more than I take in. But I do need to take in something. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be valuable to me on some degree. You know what I'm saying? But if you feel like your life is going to be better without me in it, God bless you. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's like, I want you to eat, but it just can't be at my table.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
Even though we may not rock the way we used to, please be successful. Please
Right.
take care of your family. Still be a solid dude.
Yeah.
But I just don't want you around me. God bless you.
Yeah, I've been there. I've definitely been
You
there.
know what I'm saying? I really, cause I don't have the energy to hold that kind of grudge or that kind of salt for anybody
Right.
because it weighs me down. I got enough pressure on myself to be a solid person, to work on my own demons and do all that sort of stuff. So I can't really hold on to your stuff.
Yeah.
That
But
goes back to that convo about forgiveness when they said like it's not for them, it's for you.
Yeah,
Like, you have to release yourself from the weight of holding that grudge.
Right.
agreed. Yeah, I feel that way wholeheartedly.
So yeah, my last thing about the topic is just I think everybody should find somebody to vent to.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be your brother, it doesn't have to be your sister, it doesn't have to be your mother, your father, it doesn't have to be your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
But you should find somebody who you can release some things off your chest to, only because like it's legit a release. Like it feels better confiding in someone that you can trust.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, like a lot of times, like me and T will have a sound, like on Saturday we had a sounding board. We just bouncing ideas off of each other, like just to have like to get encouragement, just to like, all right, see, am I tripping? Like because sometimes you need that. Like I just want to make sure that my thought process is correct. Like
Yeah.
so like it's definitely good. So you should, even if you got to get professional help. So I think Dr. T had mentioned psychology.com, I think is the website that she said.
Yeah, Psychology Today.
Psychology Today.
Yeah.
That basically, so you can filter it. So even if you have to get professional help or whoever it is, but I think you should.
The filters are great on that.
Are they?
Yeah, they really are. Like down
wow.
to your city, the ethnicity of their person, male, female, all of that.
That's great.
And sometimes I think, not to cut you off, but I feel like
you
sometimes there's even a benefit to seeing someone professionally
Right.
because they don't have any background information about
Exactly.
who you are.
Impartial
If you have the ability to be authentic yourself and be honest and be like, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what I want to do moving forward, they can look at you from who you are and where you are today without any background of being like, oh, well, you're kind of shady, or you don't present yourself properly, or you don't have that dynamic where they know you or they have background information. They can really focus in on what it is that you want to focus on yourself.
Right.
Sometimes the benefit of paying that $25, $50 copay is the trust and anonymity, right? Like, oh, I can't tell this person's X, Y, and Z because I'm trying to get back. They have a professional obligation to keep your thing solid.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they'll really work for you. That person is working for you, not against you. You don't have any ulterior motives. That person is literally there to benefit you, and however you kind of present yourself to them, if you can do that openly and honestly.
Right.
Now, the detriment is when you go into those type of environments and you can't really be honest with yourself or with this individual, and you're holding things back. They can't really help you to the best of their ability if you're not being transparent.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All true. And then even with seeking professional help, I mean, if you get the right person, they're going to help you to even be vulnerable in your own relationship. So you offering that vulnerability in the relationship with your therapist or your counselor or whomever will then lend to, you being able to expand and bring that into your other relationships, hopefully, if that's something, that you need work on. So I commend anyone who seeks therapy, who just puts themselves out there to better themselves. It's just like having your regular physician. We need to have those checkups. We need to get, just have somebody to make sure that everything is functioning, to its full capability. So if we start thinking about, therapy in that sense, I think, a lot more of us would, go out there and find a therapist that suits our needs. So, what say you? How are we ending this today? Ooh, I did have one thing I wanted to say before we end today. Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
You go first.
No.
Oops. No, I was gonna say, definitely find somebody who meets you where you are. When you're looking for somebody to confide yourself, get somebody who's like, all right, like, I'm not going to force you to tell me anything. Like, I'm gonna wait for you. I'm gonna be patient. I also, like, if you're dating, this is something that, like, it's a good quality in somebody, a partner, for them to allow you to have space to grow to that place where you can share things. And same thing with your therapist. Hopefully, I'm not a professional. I haven't been to a professional, but hopefully they're like, you know what? If you just want to sit here, and we can sit here, but if you want to talk, like, this is your space. Like, I want you to feel comfortable, kind of thing. That was it.
I just wanted to, let people know that since we are on the subject of, vulnerability and safe spaces, I feel like sharing your story of, your experiences lends to helping people to want to be vulnerable and want to create safe spaces for others. So with that being said, on June 2nd at our church Deliverance Center, our guy, the soft-spoken prophet, will be sharing his testimony during a service. It's a testimony service. As a matter of fact, I will be speaking as well. So we'll be sharing, our testimonies, our stories. It should be a very good event. He's a phenomenal speaker. This is what he does. This will be my first time. So if you guys would come out and support, that would be awesome. Again, that's going to be at Deliverance Center Ministries, 336 Springfield Street in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Nice.
Anything else, my friends? Anything else? How
Social?
you want to share anything? I don't have social media.
Spread the word .store.
Oh, go on.
Spread the word .store.
Spread the word .store. Just a place where you can get your apparel to spread the word. the good word, the gospel. Get your own t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, hoodies, pants, whatever you need.
Yes.
How about you? T? You all set?
Yeah, I'm all good, man. I just want to thank Digital Boombox Network, the Logic-based collective, Soft Spoken Prophet TV. You can catch us streaming live on all of those platforms. Like, comment, subscribe.
And just so we can make sure that AJ's presence is felt, we'll use some church jargon. All hearts and minds clear.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Cool. Well, then on that note, allow Jesus to be the lotion that lathers your ashy
So,
soul.
Amen.
peace, y'all.
We
Good
out.
night.
We was talking about
What the heck happened? That screen turned off like.
So I just heard back from my home.